afternoon, all. Uh, Respected Principal Madam and all members of our BPMT family. Today we are opening our online program, Kaushalya. That means this program, you will get weekly interactive session with our institute consultant physician Dr. Anindo Sen and our institute's professional counselor Ms. Apurna Ghosh ma'am through the webinar series on coping with COVID-19. This session but uh, I am happy to share with you that uh, support or technical activities with this program all are done by our beloved students, a group of students of medical assistant cell. And today I'm announcing the name of two student coordinator, Deplina Bhanju from CSC department, Kaustav Ganguly from EC department. I think already you got the note on our college notice our program. It is actually weekly. Till now, we have planned up to August, and then day by day, we will observe the situation of COVID. And always, we are with you, medical assistant cell. Always, we are with the all esteemed members of our esteemed institute, BPMT, to fight against Corona. Okay, so now Deblina and Kausta, please. They will be the co-host of this today's program, and also like all the webinar, just I point out the rules of it that to conduct the program smoothly, you please turn off your video and mute yourself. When you have a question, you unmute yourself and ask it. Okay, thank you. Deblina and Kausa.
So, a very warm and a heartful welcome to our respected principal ma'am and our dear teachers. Today, we are very grateful to have our speaker, Mr. Anindu Sen, the consultant physician of BPT IMT, who took out his time for us to clear out our doubts on this pandemic situation. And we hope by the end of this session, we will get clarified about our respective doubts. Without wasting more time, we shall start with our day one webinar session, Kaushalya, Coping Up with COVID-19. So let's begin with a brief video.
Voice is not coming, sound is not coming. Kaustap.
Still no audio is there. Hello? We don't get any audio.
না কোভিডে সাউন্ডটাও আস্তে আস্তে চলে যাবে, স্মেল আর এটা ছাড়াও সাউন্ড, এটা একটা আমাদের একটা
কোভিডে
টেস্টিং
তো
টেস্টিং কেস।
জনসংখ্যা পৃথিবীর কত কমবে, পপুলেশন নোবডি
না
নোজ।
এটা আমরা টেস্ট করছি যে সাউন্ডটা তোমাদের
ওকে
ঠিকঠাক
ওকে
কাজ করছে
ওকে,
কিনা। সরি ফর
ইয়েস
দিস।
ইয়েস,
হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ,
আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড আই আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড। হ্যাঁ
থ্যাংক ইউ ফর লিসনিং।
Hello, Deblina or Costa?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. So your part is over. So
Yes, ma'am. My part is over.
Dr. Shen, sir, please. Sir, Dr. Shen, sir, please start your session.
ডক্টর সেন আপনি আনমিউট করে দিন। আর অনেকে ভিডিও আপ একটু চলছে, একটু যদি কাইন্ডলি ভিডিওটা অফ করে। ডক্টর সেন আনমিউট করুন কাইন্ডলি।
Okay. So I think now I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
অ্যাবসলিউটলি ভেরি
Okay.
গুড।
So, so this is a good decision to continue our discussion on COVID because the situation is not static. The perceptions are unfolding, newer perceptions are coming up, newer ideas are coming up. Dr. Raichudri was mentioning that the medical community is very much inconsistent in their prescriptions on
Extremely
how
sorry.
to. Yeah. No, that is very true. That is very true. That is very true because the infection is new and probably this is a very new kind of an infection, a viral infection that transmits to fomite is not a very regular case, right? The viral infection, the previous ones, the SARS, the MERS, etc. Everyone, all the viruses, they were basically airborne viruses. In this case, whatever debate is going on regarding the mode of transmission, one thing is sure, that the major mode of communication of this virus is definitely fomite-borne. It transmits from human to human through direct contact or through intermediate physical contact. So kind of paradox is there in this kind of transmission mode, and that leaves us in a rather quandary on how to combat this, how to prevent this from getting transmitted from one body to another. Virus infections, virus pandemics are not very usual to be transmitted through fomite bone, to fomite. So that makes us a little bit tentative in prescribing and giving you a cure-all mechanism to get rid of this or to get safe from this virus. So we are in a pick, we are in a quandary, and we are coming up with medical community are coming up with conflicting prescriptions. But now I think we are in a situation when few things have been established. So one of them is that this virus is not going to go. It's not going to go very shortly. We have to develop a mechanism, develop an understanding to cope with the virus while safeguarding ourselves, while safeguarding our lives from the clutch of the virus. That's why when I was approached for this continued conversation of sorts, I thought coping with the virus would be a very befitting headline for this. Coping with the virus, coping with the pandemic. Now WHO is trying to portray that this virus will not be under control before 2 years, not in months, not in days, not in months, but for next few years they are charting a way on dealing with this COVID or dealing with or dwelling with this COVID virus. So, coping with the virus is what we should understand. Now, all those understandings were thinking of stamping out the virus. I mentioned in my previous webinar that few very small island countries like New Zealand, like Fiji, like some very small West Indian island countries, they were talking about stamping, talking about their success stories in stamping out the virus. They have done commendable work. Definitely, they have tracked all the air passengers that flew into their country preceding and during the first phase of this infection spread. They tracked everyone. They tracked every one of their close contacts, put them in quarantine. Those who were seriously were treated, were taken to the hospital, given support, and some of those countries came out with no death. And all those infections that happened in those countries were taken care of. And they, in the month of April, I think, they were able to say that our countries are free of COVID virus. We do not have COVID virus. But I think in my last webinar, I also said that in the case of a virus pandemic, this is rather unwise to declare that I have to declare a decisive win against this virus. Decisive win is not possible. In epidemiological understanding, there is always possibility of a second wave, of a third wave. The people of Fiji cannot keep themselves secluded from the rest of the world for years. They will not live that way. They would like to live that way. Why should they live like that, excluding from the whole rest of the world? So in this virus epidemic, there is always a chance of some second wave, and that second wave, third wave, they will be coming up, unfolding new possibilities of epidemic in those countries who supposedly had stamped out the virus. So now I think no one is talking about stamping out the virus. Everyone is dealing with the virus, living with the virus, and coping with the virus. So we have to further deepen and widen our understanding of the virus, the possible ways of treatment, availability of drugs, availability of diagnostics, availability of treatment facilities, etc., and what all we can do when we are all actually confined in our home. We are all home quarantined in one way or other. Whether formally we are quarantined or not is a different question, but we are all home quarantined in one sense. So basically, with this understanding, I would like to respond to some of the questions that have come up from students and teachers of various categories of BPPIMT, and I will try to address those issues one by one. The first thing that was asked to me is that identifying asymptomatic patients. Now, identifying asymptomatic patients, I don't know who asked this question, but it is not at all possible. It is not at all possible. Who are asymptomatic, they are not patients. Okay, so patients are not asymptomatic. Once there is symptoms, he or she becomes a patient. But the question has some importance in this epidemiological background, that some people are vulnerable who are not yet symptomatic but are possibly going to develop symptoms in few days ahead. Now, why I am saying that? Because I know some people, or it is possible to know some people who have come in close contact with a known COVID case. The known COVID case contact, they are asymptomatic people who should be under our surveillance, right? So identifying is not impossible, so they are already identified. The state is identifying them, the government is identifying them. I think we may not go overboard to identify them, because many agencies, if they do it, that becomes an operation to many people, right? So if there is a contact of confirmed COVID case, let the government do the surveillance, do the contact tracing, let them be found out, and let them be under the gauze of the state surveillance mechanism and state health mechanism. So identifying is not our activity, it is the business of the health establishment of the country. Let them do it. The second question is, now the patient is a known COVID patient. How long the patient will be dangerous for the community? How long the patient will be dangerous for the community? It's a very good question. And I think that scientifically speaking, there are two answers to that. Now, one is that the patient will continue to shed infection, shed the virus to the community even after few weeks of their being asymptomatic. So somebody becomes asymptomatic, okay? Somebody becomes asymptomatic, and even then, there is a possibility of that person spreading infection in the community. How long is that? It is 8 to 37 days. It may be as long as 37 days. Or it may be, in most cases, it will be up to 8 days of recovery. Now, for example, take a case who becomes infected on day 0. He or she becomes symptomatic between 2 to 14 days. So let's say the extreme case, till 14 days. 14 days, the patient becomes symptomatic. Then there is a course, in most cases, in 98-9% of cases, he will recover, and there will be another course, 7-10 days of disease. So it becomes 21-23 days. The patient will recover by 21 to 23 days in majority of cases. And even after that, after up to 8 days of recovery, the patient may be infectious to the community. So that is that. But if once the patient is declared cured by a lab test, the patient is not dangerous for the community. Means that when the patient is declared cured, means a repeat RT-PCR test is done from the nasopharyngeal swab or the oropharyngeal swab, and the patient is tested negative. Means that there is no virus detectable in the pharyngeal or the nasal swab, nasal area. Those patients will not be considered dangerous for the community. They will not be able to shed infection anymore. So maximum it is up to 30 days. Up to 30 days, the patient may be dangerous for the community. The patient might be requiring another 2 weeks of quarantine after the patient has started becoming symptomatic. So that's it in most of the cases. For few people who will not be able to withstand the viral attack, they might be collapsing. For them, the question does not arise. Okay. Now there are some questions regarding COVID test facility, where to go and how to go. Now with India has also developed its COVID testing network to a large extent. In municipal areas, those who are living in municipal areas, they'll be taken care of by a health officer, municipal health officer. All municipal offices, they have a health officer. You can directly go to the health officer to ask for a test. If you are residing in a rural area, you can go to MOPHC, Primary Health Center Medical Officer, or the BMO, Block Medical Officer of Health. You can go there. They will, now they are in a position to take care of your testing requirements. And if you are living in city, in Kolkata, I think we have a lot of borough offices. Kolkata borough offices, they are providing testing facilities. Apart from the big hospitals like PG Hospital, like Beleghata ID Hospital, like School of Tropical Medicine, they are all testing centers. They are taking the huge burden of testing in the city in addition to the borough health offices. So you can go there. They will be arranging for free testing, right? Apart from that, public health and some private hospitals, private facilities are also doing. Like Suraksha Diagnosis was doing, Lal Tatya was doing, PLS Hospital is doing actually I think Dishan Hospital is also doing, Medica super specialty they are also doing, but they are doing at a cost. The cost may not be very little. I do not comment on that, but the cost in these private facilities is very erratic. Like in some cases, I have seen that they are charging 2,500 for RT-PCR test, which is the most elaborate test. But in case of TrueNAT or in case of Gene Expert, which are not that elaborate, which require much less investment and all, for those cases they are charging 4,500. But they are charging this 4,500 in these cases because the government has failed to come up with a ceiling for these two techniques also. Government has set a ceiling for RT-PCR at 2,500, so they are complying in RT-PCR testing, but for TrueNAT or for Gene Expert testing, they are charging much higher, which is not logical. Okay. There is one question about how to take care of an elderly person. Somebody's father, he or she is really worried how to save my father from this infection. So basically, I don't know how it can be done with a foolproof mechanism. In our situation, if it is possible, please provide a room, separate room for that gentleman with an attached bath. That is the best scenario. The best scenario is that if the room is secluded, has an attached bath facility, then that is the best thing. Allow nobody to take entry into his room. Just give him food on the doorstep, ask him to collect it on the doorstep. Put one soap water tub at the door of the room. He will place the plates and utensils on the soap water tub after finishing at lunch, dinner, etc. And if it is not possible to give a attached bath to that person, to the gentleman, just make sure that he comes out of the room with a mask put on along with a face shield when he has to visit the bathroom. So that way I think we can do some justice to prevent that gentleman to be infected. Okay? I think that is definitely not a foolproof mechanism, but I cannot imagine anything more than that which is feasible. Okay. Now somebody is saying that is this alcohol sanitation it is better than hand washing. No, I don't think so. Alcohol sanitation that has got some problems as well. They are good, 70% alcohol, they are good, but then they have got some problem with the skin. They might have got some problem of the alcohol being absorbed to skin, etc. If it is possible, I mean, best thing is to have a soap water wash. That is the best possible way of disinfection. Sanitizer we are using for the user friendliness, for the convenience, from the point of view of convenience. It is not always possible to go for elaborate hand washing everywhere. So in those situations, I think hand wash might be useful. I mean, hand sanitizers might be useful. But our mainstay of hand hygiene is definitely soap water cleansing. Somebody asked a question regarding utensils, whether utensils are safe when they are being coming in contact with the nail. Yes, utensils are not a problem because utensils are washed by soap water at least twice or thrice a day. If it is possible, whoever does it, utensils will not be a source of transmission. So I think coming in contact with nail doesn't matter because it is being washed with soap water. Now, COVID patients. What is the most dangerous scenario? Now, COVID, in most dangerous scenario, it should not be patient cannot be kept home. Okay. So dangerous scenario means the patient might initially not be ill, right? The patient might be. The problem is that the symptoms come with a storm. They come one after another in quick succession, and when it is not possible to manage them home, so the most dangerous symptom of this COVID infection is definitely breathlessness, definitely breathlessness, but you cannot wait until breathlessness comes. You have to hospitalize someone who is having COVID infection much before the breathlessness comes. Breathlessness in a home setting is not a good thing. So you should not try to manage breathlessness in a home setting. When to go for COVID testing? Now in today's scenario, I think someone having fever, someone having sore throat, someone having coryza, fever, coryza and sore throat. These are conditions when ideally every patient should be going for COVID testing. Right? So scientifically speaking, this should be done. Whether this is possible, sociologically possible, whether logistically possible, I cannot say. But these are the three criteria which should not be neglected in today's scenario. Had these three things happening in 2019, I think we would have all neglected them. We would all avoided them, bypassed them with some paracetamol and antihistaminics, but not in 2020. In 2020, fever, malaise, coryza. Coryza means running nose and malaise. So malaise, running nose, fever, cough, these are serious symptoms to be taken very seriously and try for testing for COVID, right? So if it is possible. About where to test, I think I have already mentioned that there are government facilities, there are private facilities. In government facilities, you don't have to pay a penny, they will be doing it gratis. But in private facilities, they will be charging anything. You can go for testing in medical colleges, in School of Tropical Medicine, in Beleghata IG Hospital, and the borough offices in Kolkata Corporation area, in municipality health offices in the municipal area, and in rural area, you can go to the primary health center medical officer or the BMOH, block medical health officer. So all of them will do this for your testing. I do not. Somebody said, how long does it take to develop a serious disease? For those cases who are going to develop serious disease, will do so within 14 days. The symptoms usually start coming from second to third day of infection. In worst case scenario, symptoms might be coming in as late as 14 days, but those who are having symptoms at the end of 14 days are very unlikely to develop a serious disease. So the normal cycle of the disease is that infection takes place, there is a 2 to few days incubation, and if there is enough of inoculum to have infected. Enough of inoculum means the size of the droplet, the amount of virus that is entering the body, depending on many other things, host defense and the number of viruses that is entering the body. I think there will be a unique course of the disease. Generally, what happens is within 2 to 14 days, symptoms come and take whatever form it is destined to. If it has to be serious, the seriousness develops within 14 days. If it will be a mild disease, then it will pass off after 14 days. So that is the thing. With 2 to 14 days, that is the crucial time of infection. Infection taking root in the body and taking its toll on the body. Right? Somebody is saying that oximeter, pulse oximeter, whether it should be kept at home. Yeah, if you can do it, Pulse oximeter is a good thing to, but I think it is not easy to take a decision on the basis of a pulse oximeter, right? So that is major issues are involved in it. Okay, so if a pulse oximeter shows you a reading of 90, in some cases the reading might be actually 15 days, might be 75. So there is hardly a point to wait until it comes down. If the patient is symptomatic, I think you cannot keep the patient at home hoping that you are doing a justice by taking the oxygen saturation twice a day. So that you cannot get confident with. That will not help you. So pulse oximeter definitely you can keep with you, but when it comes to a medical decision about whether the patient has to be transferred to hospital, it will not help you. Okay, at any point, even if it's persistently more than 90%, then also there will be danger if there are other symptoms. So pulse oximeters are not a tell-all mechanism to tell you whether he is safe or unsafe. Okay. Most fatal symptom, somebody was asking, I don't know how does it help you, but most fatal symptom in this scenario is definitely breathlessness. Fever, you can wait for a day. Sore throat, you can wait for a day or two. Coryza, you can wait for 2 days. But if there is breathlessness, patient is having more than 25 number of breaths per minute. 25 number of breaths per minute. Which means that the patient has tachypnea. Fast breathing rate of respiration. That is very important. Short and fast rate of respiration. That is very important. Breathlessness is the most serious condition associated with this COVID infection, when medical intervention will be immediately required. Oxygen cylinder. Somebody is also thinking of putting up oxygen cylinder set up at home. It can be done. Definitely it will help if there is a breathlessness and you are trying to find out a hospital bed. During that time, I think oxygen support, if there is an oxygen cylinder at home, and if you want to maintain oxygen supply till you find out a bed in a hospital, then definitely it's going to help the patient. Somebody is asking about a treatment course at home. I don't think it can be given here. Very generally it can be said that oxygen support, some steroids, an antihistaminic, they are regular things that should be given. But there are other things which we cannot decide or we cannot even administer at home. So treating a patient who has taken a serious turn, I think will not be a wise decision to take. Either way, you have to take the patient to specialist medical center. These are two questions that came up, and I think I have taken up all of them.
Sir, we get also some questions in chat box. Deblina.
So there are a few questions. One of them is exactly after how many days a COVID patient will be sure that he or she is out of danger?
Yeah, I said, 37 days is okay. That is, 37 days is a good benchmark to follow. After 37 days of the patient being seriously ill, right? After 37 days, you get my point? Yeah, I think Dr. Rajendra has put it very nicely. And I think 37 days is a good benchmark to follow.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So the next question is that is there any chance of spreading through fresh fruits and veggies? Storage in refrigerator would cause coronavirus.
Yeah, it is possible. Some media report I had been coming across, but there is no study on this. We cannot take a decision based on media report, but there is definitely a possibility because the virus thrives in cold environment. Okay, and when you open the freezer door, you always have some gas coming out of it, right, in the form of vapor. So those vapors, they might be having this virus in it. Why not? So vegetables, if you are taking it from outside and if you are not cleaning it before you put it into the fridge, then I think definitely there is a chance of the virus thriving in cold environment inside the refrigerator. When you open it frequently, you will be able to inhale it very readily, very quickly. So infectivity might be there from the refrigerator itself. This is possible.
Okay, sir.
sir. The next question is
Dr. Raitudri, you cannot put it in with hydrochloric acid, but you can clean it with plain soap water. That will help you. Before you put things in the refrigerator, just clean it with soap water. That will
Yes,
definitely
yes.
help.
Thank you, sir. Actually, you are the expert here. I am naive. But actually, what I want to mention that you have to, before putting to the refrigerator, all the it should be washed. Again, whenever it is coming out, it should be again be washed. But if the viruses go through the intestine route, it might be killed by the hydrochloric acid at our intestine. That I want to mention. Not put hydrochloric acid externally. That's it. Thank you very
No, but
much. Yeah.
no, hydrochloric acid is not an antidote to this virus at all.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
we are already having cases of gastroenteritis with this virus, right?
Okay. Okay.
Only
Then-
because of the fact that this gastroenteritis
Yes.
is
Yes.
reported already.
Okay.
That is happening. Why? Why that is happening? Because there are receptors for this virus in this gastrointestinal tract. What are the receptors? Can I ask you? I have dealt with in detail in the previous webinar.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what are the receptors in the body that are waiting to accept the virus?
Nostril.
ACE,
Yeah.
ACE,
Yeah.
ACE receptor, right?
Yeah.
ACE,
Yeah.
angiotensin converting enzyme receptors, right? So these receptors are predominantly present in the nasal mucosa, in the oropharyngeal mucosa. There are aplenty in lung. They are also found in the middle intestine and lower intestine as well.
Okay.
So that is why,
Okay.
HCl definitely, hydrochloric acid definitely will reduce the number of viruses, but there are hosts lowered down to accept the virus and grow it further to proliferate, to induce a disease. Okay,
Thank you.
so that is a possibility.
Yes. Thank you.
Sir, what is the most fatal symptom of COVID-19? Means
Yeah, the
the
question.
COVID infection?
Yeah, I think this question came up early, and I think I have already discussed breathlessness. Respiratory distress and breathlessness is the most fatal symptom. I told you.
Okay.
You want to know more about it?
Yes, sir.
Respiratory
Actually,
distress. That is the
mainly the respiratory infection is the main cause, but I want to know that which part of the
Infection
respiratory tract is mostly infected.
lung.
Means,
Respiratory
which
tract.
portion of the
Yeah. Okay. Let me discuss it with a little bit of anatomical understanding. The respiratory tract starts with the nose, right? Respiratory tract starts with the nostril and it ends in the lower lung, the alveolus. Okay. So there are few zones that the air passes through in order to reach the alveolus. Okay. The first thing is the nostrils, then the nasopharynx, then the oropharynx, then the larynx, then into the trachea. Trachea divides on right and left half, and through them to the bronchus, bronchus to the bronchioles, to the respiratory bronchioles, and the terminal bronchioles, the respiratory bronchioles, and the alveolus. In the alveolar area, I told you that ACE receptor. ACE receptor, the number of ACE receptor is what matters. Okay, the ACE receptor is distributed all over this respiratory tract, from nostrils down to the alveolus. But the concentration of this concentration of the ACE receptor is much more in the alveolar part of the lung, the terminal bronchioles, the respiratory bronchioles, and the alveolar part of the lung, than the entry points. Entry point means the nostrils, the nasopharynx, the oropharynx, right? So, respiratory distress or shortness of breath develop only when there is an involvement of the alveolar part of the lung, right? When the disease has reached the alveolar part of the lung, only then the respiratory distress or the shortness of breath appears. So once shortness of breath or respiratory distress appears, you know for sure that disease has already reached its terminal domain. That is the point
Okay.
when you cannot take it less seriously. You have to take it very seriously and take the patient to the hospital. Right? Now I think I have clarified it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. If it's clarified.
One more question, Deblina.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, sir. There is one. There are many more questions. I should go one by one. Is there any chance of relapse of COVID in same patient?
Not really. Not at this stage. Because it is understood that somebody who has withstood the first assault has developed some immunity, developed some antibodies in the body, which is a saving antibody, right? So functional antibody. So not at this stage until the virus takes a mutation, and there is entirely a different morphological and chemical structure of the virus has changed. Till then, I think we will be remaining immune to the virus after an infection has taken place. So relapse in this case is not a possibility.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir, the next question which come up is the how the common people should understand the measure of oxygen in the flow meter if they are using oxygen cylinder.
Oxygen cylinder. So that has got a meter inbuilt in itself. How much oxygen is required and how much has to be given cannot be filtered here. Okay, they can just keep some support. Some support means, not more than if you are giving oxygen to a person with the help of a cannula alone, then I think it should be less than 5 liters per minute. If you are using a venti mask, it can go higher. You cannot go higher with a cannula. More than 5 liters per minute supply will not be supported by this cannula. So if your patient is in requirement of more oxygen, I think venti mask requires to be given. And I think that is something which is very sophisticated thing to do, not to be managed by commoners. You can just give some support or support and take the patient to the hospital. Giving oxygen, I think, without medical support will not be good. Okay.
Okay, sir. So the next question is that can we just leave the vegetables outside got one day and get rid of the virus?
Why not wash it with soap water? That is more foolproof. Clean it with soap water.
Sir, it
Just
is
keeping it one day in the
a
sun, just right, keeping it one day in the sun, that might dry it up as well. Clean it with soap water and put it. Then dry it under the fan and put it in fridge.
Sir, is it a rumor or the real thing that we have to keep vegetables and all the things for 12 hours towards the sunlight and then we can use it?
No, there is no. I mean, I have not yet come across a question like this. It seems to be very
And sir, one more question is
very unsound scientifically. You can clean it very well. You can clean it for better. It takes 5 minutes to do. That will be equally, if not more beneficial. Okay.
Okay, sir. And sir, one more
This
question is
question,
that
Madam has asked if home quarantine is enough solution, or is it better to be admitted to hospital because we are not sure when it is the breathing problem. If you are having a COVID positive case, if the patient does not have any comorbidity, I think home quarantine is not a bad idea. It's a good idea, in fact. You should keep fingers crossed. You should be vigilant to see whether any kind of respiratory distress is coming up or not. Any kind of respiratory sign of respiratory distress. I told you that the number of respiratory breathing per minute, 20, if it crosses 25, then that is a warning signal. Then you should transfer the patient to the hospital. And if you are having a pulse oximeter at home, then if it is going below 95 or 92, 93, okay, let's consider if it is going below 92, 93, then you have to take the patient to the hospital. Okay. Hospital in our setting is not a very good proposition. You know that generally we don't go to the government hospitals because of many things. And now I think in this COVID scenario, private hospitals are too costly for many of us to afford. So hospital is not a very easy thing to access. So you have to take some chances only when the patient is having some respiratory distress, persistent fever and respiratory distress, you need to seek to the hospital. Completely airborne.
Thank you.
It's not at all completely airborne. Airborne. It is mostly point-borne. But how to manage the airborne component, possibility of airborne transmission component? There is a component of the possibility of it being communicated to air. Okay. So that is why use of mask is being talked about. Use of mask in the localities and the crowded places, in the lifts. Somebody has put a question like that. Whether touching the elevator buttons and the elevator walls, etc., they are dangerous. Yes, they are dangerous because the closed space, lift is an absolutely closed space where somebody sneezes, there is hardly any possibility of cross ventilation. So in lifts or in such closed spaces, we should definitely put on good masks. You should put on good masks, and when you come out of that, you should try to avoid such places in the first place. If you are in a hospital, try to avoid lifts. If you are in a shopping mall or something, try to avoid these lifts. Okay, so walk a mile more if it is possible. If it takes for you to go to the second floor, but avoid these lifts at any cost. Maybe in the hospital, maybe in the institution or wherever, because that is the most dangerous area.
Thank you, sir. There is
yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. So there is one more question which says that is it necessary to keep an oximeter and oxygen cylinder at home? As well as it says that what is the level below which we should report to doctor?
I told it right now. Pulse oximeter if you are keeping, and if the pulse oximeter reads less than 92, 93, you should immediately. Okay, Ananya Kanjiral is asking, does UV sanitization chamber help in removing virus? Yes, UV sanitization chamber helps in removing the virus. That's a good thing to do. But UV has got many other deleterious effects on human being as well. We cannot forget that it is carcinogenic. And it is not possible to install a UV sanitation mechanism in every classroom or in every closed space. So the PPIMT in block 1, I think all rooms will require UV sanitation UV machine to be installed. There is another called which is HEPA filter. HEPA filter UV machines, they are costly machines, they require maintenance, and also they are not bereft of any deleterious effect on health. So they are not good alternatives for in this scenario. If in America or in England, UV machines are not being talked about.
So, dear participant, almost we are at the end of the session. So, if you have any more questions, you can ask now.
Is excellent. I think there are few questions there in the chat box. Devolita, can you discuss more? There are
Okay, sir.
Taking things, I think, yeah, Dr. Raishadri is asking about the immunity part of it.
yeah.
If you want to know more about the immunity, you can, I think, I can refer you to a discussion in Lockdown TV, which is run by some, uh, what is the name of that gentleman? I forgot, but his discussion with Dr. Sunetra Gupta. Sunetra Gupta is the
It's
chief,
from UK. I think
yeah,
she's
the
from
chief epidemiologist
Yes.
in Oxford.
Mhm.
So you can hear that. You can just watch that. You will be
Good.
getting more ideas about it. But I think this immunity part of it, there are three things. One is this seroimmunity. Antibody is developed, and that antibody works against that virus. And the virus is marked, and the virus is trapped, and the virus is killed. So that is the humoral immunity. But there are more immunities, more components of that immunity. Non-specific immunities are also acting in this case, I think. Somebody, in this case, in this scenario, I haven't seen that somebody from Rajabazar or somebody from Manikaravathi, they are dying of COVID. Now, why they are not dying of COVID? There are many reasons. There might be also the fact that these people are having immunity to infection or exposure to so many things, so many viruses and all. So they have some cross kind of immunity against this coronavirus.
Yes.
Now this time to the benefit of the others. There are also genetic component of an immunity. So the genetic immunity, right? What is, if you know about this thalassemia, thalassemia patients are less susceptible to falciparum malaria. Now why? Why this is because there was some pressure of this falciparum infection on the gene, and there was some mutation in the beta chain in the chromosome 11, on chromosome 11, beta chain of the chromosome 11, leading to this hemoglobinopathy. So one way of looking at it is that thalassemia is a product of this prevalent falciparum malaria infection. On the other hand, thalassemia patients are less susceptible to this falciparum malaria, to cerebral malaria. So there is also a genetic component of developing immunity. So all these immunities act, right? So I think many components of this immunity which are not explored in this case. Only here most of them are talking about this humoral immunity, but there are other components of immunity which will be looked into. Maybe there we can find some explanation why in this case mostly people in Tuxia, people in Rajabazar, people in Pakshakas are not dying. People from middle class and upper middle class residential, they are dying. They are being affected.
Hello.
So, okay.
Sir, sir, one more question. Yeah, sun emits UV rays. So by keeping a sunlight will serve the purpose of removing the virus. But for how long?
Sun exposure.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't think there is any study on that. Generally speaking, the virus does not survive in the sun more than 26 degrees centigrade temperature. For within a matter of minutes, the virus will die if the exposure is more than 26 degrees centigrade temperature. So that is the general understanding, but there is no specific study on this.
Sir, one more
Okay.
question is there.
Yeah.
Sir, one more question is there that can we take azithromycin during high fever with cold and cough without advice of a doctor? Because many azithromycin medicine are getting with duplicate signs.
That is a problem. Why should you take this? Why should you take
Sir,
azithromycin without the advice of a doctor?
Azithromycin, many of them are preferring azithromycin due to high fever to take it.
Gustav, you cannot ask a doctor for a prescription without a doctor. It is a question you cannot ask a doctor. Am I correct? So it should be. It is the prerogative of doctor.
No, actually, Somnath, this was my question actually.
Oh,
But
okay.
actually,
No,
Yeah.
we have always with Dr.
Yes,
Shen.
yes.
You can always ask Dr. Shen for. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely that is your privilege, but many do not have that.
But
privilege.
in this situation, it is
Doctor-
very difficult to say
Yeah.
to consult with a doctor, right? And for this
That's
reason,
your
I am
privilege.
asking you what type of antibiotic is better to take during
Antibiotics,
this
basically
basically.
antibiotics. Yeah, viral fevers. In viral fevers, antibiotics are not to be given. You go for a blood testing, just do a CBC or just PCBC hemoglobin ESR. If the blood count, WBC count is high, more than 8,000, 9,000, then we can consider any antibiotic. If it is less, if it is on the lower side, then I think antibiotics will not work in patients who are not immunocompromised, in patients who are not having cancer, not having blood cancer. So basically antibiotics will not work if the total WBC count is on the lower side, right? So indiscriminate use of antibiotics will not help us. Okay, so it is always better to keep tab on other things, to keep tab on the symptoms, and as I said, if there is a symptom, particularly fever and breathlessness, then you should try to find out a place where doctors are available. Okay, if you don't have, I will give you the numbers of provided to us from Sakto Bhavan. You can always call them and seek support. In this group, I will share that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So there
Okay,
is
sir,
one more
you will-
question, and it is the end of the questioning round. And this is the last question. It is said that it's not that the washing the vegetables with soap water promote the chemical absorption into the vegetables because detergents or soap contains chemicals.
I cannot comment on that in a very scientific manner, but I think nowadays the chemicals are plenty in the vegetables. Okay, so you have heard about organophosphorus chemicals that are sprayed into the vegetables in order to save them from many organisms.
No, ইনি ডাক্তারবাবু ইনি সোপ ওয়াটার দিয়ে ভেজিটেবলস ধুয়ে খেতে বলছে সোপ ওয়াটার দিয়ে ভেজিটেবল বাজার থেকে এনে ধুয়ে খেতে বলছে সাবান জলে ভেজিটেবল ধুয়ে খেতে বলছে ওই গামলার মধ্যে সাবান জল করে
কিন্তু এটা কি ফিজিক্যালি পসিবল
ভালো করে সাবান জলে ধুয়ে বলছি ভেজিটেবলেও তো প্রচুর থাকে আজকাল
No, sir. Actually, you are talking about the soap water. So, which type of chemical we can use? Can you use caustic soda?
না দিস ইজ নট ফিজিক্যালি পসিবল
No, caustic soda, not caustic soda. Less corrosive one, right?
So, sir, which
Please,
বেকিং সোডাতে করা যায় তো নাকি? যেটা সোডিয়াম
minimum, sir, one by one,
সাধারণ সাবান,
then it will be better for all of them.
সাধারণ সাবান, common soap, okay, detergent,
Okay.
common detergent.
কমন ডিটারজেন্ট দিয়ে খেতে বলছে
গরম জল দেওয়া
ইয়ে হয়ে গেছে
okay.
আমরা কিন্তু একটা সবাই ভিডিও অন করে একটা ক্ল্যাপ দেব স্যারকে প্লিজ সবাই ভিডিওটা অন করুক সবাই মাইক্রোফোন অন করুক একটা ক্ল্যাপ দি গ্রেট হ্যান্ড
Sir, one more question, last
please.
question. That is, what about sodium bicarbonate? If you use.
Sodium bicarbonate is not known to destroy the virus with good efficacy. Sodium bicarbonate is otherwise good, but now in this context we are talking about having the vegetable free of the virus contamination. So far as viral contamination is concerned, it can be done away with common soap, not with sodium bicarbonate.
স্যার কিন্তু স্যার যেটা আমার মনে হয় যে কলম সোপ বা ডিটারজেন্ট যাই হোক না কেন তাতে তো কেমিক্যাল থাকবে এবং সেগুলো তো ভেজিটেবলে চলে যাবে, সেটা অন্য রকমের ডিজিজ কিছু তৈরি করে দেবে না, যে ধরুন পেটে ইনফেকশন বা কিছু।
না, আপনার কেন
যদি
এটা মনে হয়?
ভেজিটেবলে
কেন এটা মনে হয়?
না ডিটারজেন্টটা তো না, ডিটারজেন্ট বা সোপটা তো নট, যে কোনো সোপ বা ডিটারজেন্টে তো কেমিক্যাল থাকবেই। ওটা তো নর্মাল আপনার সোডিয়াম হাইড্রোক্সাইড দা এগুলো তৈরি হয় না, কেমিক্যাল রাখবেই ফর ফ্র্যাগন্যান্স, ফর প্রিজারভেটিভ এসবের জন্য। তো সেগুলো ভেজিটেবলে গিয়ে অন্যরকম পেটি ইনফেকশন।
আপনি কোন ইনফেকশনের কথা বলছেন? ইনফেকশন প্রথমত এক্ষেত্রে হওয়ার কোনো কথা নয়। ইনফেকশন
না না, যদি ডিটারজেন্ট কন্টিনিউয়াসলি পেটে যায় সেটা থেকে অন্যরকম প্রবলেম হবে না?
না, আবার ধুয়ে নিতে হবে সবজিগুলোকে ভালো করে।
আপনি যেগুলো ওয়াশ
আবার
করে
ধুয়ে
তারপর রাখছেন, তারপর তো সেটা ছাল ছাড়িয়ে খোসা ছাড়িয়ে তারপর খাচ্ছেন, আমার মনে হয় না তাতে খুব রিস্ক।
না, সিম্পলি গরম জলে ধুলে পরে কেমন হয়, মানে শুধু জাস্ট নরমাল গরম জলে ধুয়ে জাস্ট জলটা।
ভাইরাসটাকে আপনি একটু শুনুন, এই যে ভাইরাসটা, এই ভাইরাসটাকে ডিস্ট্রয় করার জন্য সাবানের একটা বিশেষ বিশেষ ক্ষমতা আছে। এটা সাবানের একটা হাইড্রোফিলিক এন্ড, একটা হাইড্রোফোবিক এন্ড আছে। এই দুটো টাগ অফ ওয়ারে যে ভাইরাস বিকামস টর্ন অ্যাপার্ট, সো দ্যাট ইজ দ্য হাইপোথিসিস। এই জন্যই সাবানের কথা হচ্ছে। আপনি বাইকার্বনে কিংবা অন্য কিছু দিয়ে সেটা করা সম্ভব নয়, ঠিক আছে? সেই কারণেই সোপ ওয়াটার ইজ এ বেটার ডিকন্টামিনেন্ট দ্যান ইভেন অ্যালকোহল বেসড ডিকন্টামিনেন্ট। ঠিক আছে, এবার সেবার সমস্ত কিছুতেই সাইড এফেক্ট থাকতে পারে, উইচ ইজ নট ইয়েট স্টাডি। এখন অবধি মোটামুটি এটা করে আমরা চলতে পারি, আমরা এই সোপ ওয়াটার দিয়ে অনেক কিছু ম্যানেজ করতে পারি।
Can you suggest any name of particular soap water? Can you suggest any particular name of soap water?
না না,
I mean soap. না, সোপ ওয়াটার তো যে কোনো জিনিস, যে কোনো নর্মাল সোপ ওয়াটার, কিন্তু সোপ ওয়াটারে খাবার জিনিসটাতে আমার কেমনটা লাগছে আর কি, খাবার জিনিস সোপ ওয়াটার দিয়ে ধোয়াটা। হ্যালো,
আপনি সাবান দিয়ে হাত ধোন?
সাবান দিয়ে হাত
আপনি
ধরে
খাওয়ার আগে সাবান দিয়ে হাত ধুন তো?
হ্যাঁ, সাবান দিয়ে হাত ধুই।
তাহলে
হ্যাঁ।
সাবান থাকে কি থাকে না?
না, সেটা তো থাকে না, কিন্তু ভেজিটেবলের মধ্যে সেটা ঢুকে যাওয়ার চান্স থাকে না।
কে বললো আপনাকে ঢুকে যাওয়ার চান্স আছে? কেন ঢুকে যাবে?
Okay, okay, hello.
কেন ঢুকে যাবে?
Sir.
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে।
Sir, can we then close the session, sir? I think no more questions from the
সবাই
audience.
কাকলি একটু সবাইকে ভিডিও অন করতে বলো, অডিও অন করতে
হ্যাঁ,
বলো।
হ্যাঁ।
গিভ এ ব্রেক হ্যান্ড।
Please, all of you turn on.
And give a clap. Dr. Sen, আপনি ক্ল্যাপ দেবেন নাকি?
Thank you very much.
Very good lecture.
Thank you very much.
কিন্তু আমার